Well, good morning to my grandchildren again. It's nice to see you and to know that you're doing okay. This is not the way I wanted to do all of our interaction, but it's a way that we can at least read a story together and talk to each other, even though there is a quarantine going on. And we're trying very hard not to get the virus around here, and so far no one on campus has it, so we're happy about that. And we're trying to stay clean with regard to the virus that's going around. But we love you and wanted to read some of this story. Well, we're reading Rikki-tikki-tavi, and in our story where we ended, Rikki-tikki-tavi had killed the mongoose Nag. And Nag had coiled himself up by the water jar in the shower area where there was a sluice place for the water to drain out. And Rikki-tikki got him and was hanging on to make sure that he got him dead. And the big English man came and used his shotgun and blew Nag behind the cobra folds. And so Nag is dead, but Nagina is not dead. Nagina is Nag's wife. And Nagina's still out there somewhere. So Rikki-tikki went off to Teddy's room and spent most of the night shaking himself to find out if he was all there and wasn't really torn into 40 pieces. So anyway, we'll see what happens here in the second half of our story today. I put my glasses on. I know it reflects on my eyes, but that's the only way I can see. So, when morning came, he was very stiff, but well pleased with his doings. Now I have Nagina to deal with, and she will be worse than 5 nags, and there's no knowing when the eggs she spoke of will hatch. Oh goodness, I must go see Darzee and see what he says. Without waiting for breakfast, Rikki-tikki ran to the thorn bush where Darzee was singing a song of triumph at the top of his voice. The news of Nag's death was all over the garden, for the sweeper had thrown the body on the rubbish heap. "Oh, you stupid tuft of feathers," said Rikki-tikki angrily. "Is this the time to sing and celebrate?" "Nag is dead, Nag is dead," sang Darzee. "Nag is dead." The valiant Rikki-tikki caught him by the head, and he held fast, and the big man brought the big bang stick, and Nag fell into 2 pieces. "He will never eat my babies again." "Well, that's all true enough, said Rikki-tikki, "but where is Nagina?" He was looking carefully around him. "Nagina came to the bathroom sluice and called for Nag," Darzee went on, "and Nag came out on the end of a stick. The sweeper picked him up on the end of a stick and threw him on the rubbish heap. Let us sing about the great red-eyed Rikki-tikki, Rikki-tikki." And Darzee filled his throat and sang. "If I could get up to your nest, I'd roll your babies out," said Rikki-tikki. "You don't even know when to do the right thing at the right time. You're safe enough there in your nest, but it's war for me down here. Stop singing a minute, Darzee." "For the great and beautiful Rikki-tikki's sake, I will stop," said Darzee. "What is it, O killer of the terrible Nag? Where is Nagina?" For the 3rd time, where is Nagina? "On the rubbish heap by the stables, mourning for Nag. Great is Rikki-tikki with the white teeth." "Bother the white teeth. Have you ever heard where she keeps her eggs?" "Well, they're in the melon bed, on the end nearest the wall, where the sun strikes nearly all day long. She hid them there weeks ago." "And you never thought it worth telling me about it?" said Rikki-tikki. "The end nearest the wall, you said." "Rikki-tikki, you're not going to eat her eggs." "Well, not eat exactly, no, Darzee. If you have a grain of sense, you will fly off into the stables and pretend that your wing is broken and let Nagina chase you away to this bush. I must get to the melon bed, and if I went there now, she'd see me." Darzee was a feather-brained little fellow who could never really hold more than one idea at a time in his head. And just because he knew that Nagina's children were born in eggs like his own, he didn't think at first that it was fair to kill them. But his wife was a sensible bird, and she knew that cobra's eggs meant young cobras later on. And young cobras meant adult cobras, and so she flew off from her nest and left Darzee to keep the babies warm. And continue his song about the death of Nag. Darzee was very like a man in some ways. She fluttered in front of Nagina by the rubbish heap and cried out, "Oh, oh, my wing is broken." The boy in the house threw a stone. The boy in the house threw a stone at me and broke it. Then she fluttered more desperately than ever. Nagina lifted up her head and hissed, "You warned Rikki-tikki when I would have killed him. Indeed and truly, you've chosen a bad place to be lame in." And she moved towards Darzee's wife, slipping along over the dust. "The boy broke me with a stone," shrieked Darzee's wife. "Well, it may be some consolation to you when you're dead to know that I shall settle accounts with the boy. My husband lies on the rubbish heap this morning, but before tonight, the boy in the house will be lying very still. I'm sure to catch you, you little fool. Look at me." Darzee's wife knew better than to do that, for a bird who looks at a snake's eyes gets so frightened that she cannot move. Darzee's wife fluttered up on the piping sorrowfully and never leaving the ground, and Nagina quickened her pace. Rikki-tikki heard them going up the path from the stables, and he raced for the end of the melon patch near the wall. There in the warm litter above the melons, very cunningly hidden, he found 25 eggs about the size of bantam eggs, with the whitish skin instead of a shell. It was not a day too soon, he said, for he could see that the baby cobras were curled up inside the skin, and he knew that the minute they were hatched, they could kill a man or a mongoose. He bit off the tops of the eggs as fast as he could, taking care to crush the young cobras, and turned over the litter from time to time to see whether he had missed any. At last, there were only 3 eggs left, and Rikki-tikki began to chuckle to himself when he heard Darzee's wife screaming, "Rikki-tikki, Rikki-tikki! I led Nagina toward the house, and she has gone into the veranda, and oh, come quickly, she means killing." Rikki-tikki smashed 2 eggs and tumbled backwards down the melon bed with the 3rd egg in his mouth, and scuttled to the veranda as hard as he could go. He put foot to the ground. Teddy and his mother and father were at early breakfast, and Rikki-tikki saw that they were not eating anything. They sat stone still, and their faces were white. Nagina was coiled up on the matting by Teddy's chair, within easy striking distance of Teddy's bare leg, and she was swaying to and fro, singing a song of triumph. "Son of the big man that killed Nag," she hissed. "Stay still, I'm not ready yet. Wait a little. Keep very still, all 3 of you. If you move, I strike, and if you do not move, I strike. Oh, you foolish people who killed my Nag." Teddy's eyes were fixed on his father, and all his father could do was whisper, "Sit still, Teddy. You mustn't move, Teddy. Keep still, Teddy." Then Rikki-tikki came up and cried, "Turn around, Nagina, and turn and flight." "All in good time," she said without moving her eyes. "I will settle my account with you presently. Look at your friends, Rikki-tikki. They're still and white, and they're afraid. They dare not move, and if you come to step nearer, I will strike." "Look at your eggs," said Rikki-tikki, "in the melon bed near the wall. Go and look, Nagina." The big snake turned half around and saw the eggs on the veranda. "Ah, give it to me," she said. Rikki-tikki put his paws one on each side of the egg, and his eyes were blood red. What price for a snake's egg, for a young cobra, for a young king cobra, for the very last of the brood, the answer eating all the others down by the melon bed? Nagina spun clear around, forgetting everything for the sake of the one egg. Rikki-tikki saw Teddy's father shoot out a big hand, catch Teddy by the shoulder, and drag him across the little table, with the teacups safe out of reach of Nagina. Tricked, 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 Rikki-tikki, Rikki-tikki. The boy is safe, and it was I that caught Nag by the hood last night at the bathroom. Then he began to jump up and down, all 4 feet together, his head close to the floor. He threw me to and fro, but he could not shake me off. He was dead before the big man blew him in two, and I did it. Rikki-tikki, 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 come then, Nagina, come and fight with me. You shall not be a widow for long. Nagina saw that she had lost her chance of killing Teddy. The egg lay between Rikki-tikki's paws. Give me the egg, Rikki-tikki. Give me the last of my eggs, and I will go away and never come back, she said, lowering her hood. Yes, you will go away, and you will never come back, for you will go the way of the rubbish heap with Nag. Fight, widow. The big man has gone for his gun. Fight, widow. Rikki-tikki was bounding all around Nagina, keeping just out of reach of her stroke, his little eyes red-hot coals. Nagina gathered herself together and flung out at him. Rikki-tikki jumped up and backward. Again and again and again she struck, and each time her head came within a whack on the matting of the veranda, and she gathered herself together like a watch spring. Then Rikki-tikki danced in a circle to get behind her, and Nagina spun around to keep her head to his head, so that the rustle of her tail on the matting sounded like the dry leaves blown along by the wind. He had forgotten the egg. It still lay on the veranda, and Nagina came nearer and nearer and nearer to it, till at last, while Rikki-tikki was drawing breath, she caught it in her mouth, turned to the veranda steps, and flew like an arrow down the path, with Rikki-tikki right behind her. When the cobra runs for her life, she goes like a whip, flicking across the horse's neck. Rikki-tikki knew that he must catch her, or all the trouble would begin again, and she headed straight for the long grass by the thorn bush. And as he was running, Rikki-tikki heard Darzee still singing his foolish little song of triumph. But Darzee's wife was wiser. She flew off her nest as Nagina came along and flapped her wings about Nagina's head. If Darzee had helped, they might have turned her, but Nagina only followed her hood and went on. Still, the instant's delay brought Rikki-tikki up to her, and as she plunged into the rat hole where she and Nag used to live, his little white teeth were clenched onto her tail, and he went down with her. Very few mongooses, however, wise and old they may be, care to follow a cobra into its hole. It was dark in the hole, and Rikki-tikki never knew when it might open out and give Nagina room to turn and strike at him. He held on savagely and stuck out his feet to act as brakes on the dark slope of the hot, moist earth. Then the grass by the mouth of the hole stopped waving, and Darzee said, "Oh, it's over with Rikki-tikki. We must still sing his death song. Valiant Rikki-tikki is dead, for Nagina will surely kill him underground." So he sang a very mournful and a very sorrowful song that he made up on the spur of the minute. And just as he got to the most touching part, the grass shivered again, and Rikki-tikki, covered in dirt, dragged himself out of the hole, leg by leg, licking his whiskers. Darzee stopped with a little shout, "Rikki-tikki!" He shook the dust of the fur out of his fur as he sneezed. "It's all over," he said. "The widow will never come out again." And the red ants that lived between the grass stems heard him and began to troop down after one another to see if he had spoken the truth. Rikki-tikki curled himself up in the grass and slept right where he was. Slept and slept until it was late in the afternoon, for he had done a hard day's work already. "Now," he said when he awoke, "I will go back to the house, tell the coppersmith Darzee, and he will tell the garden, and Nagina is dead." The coppersmith is a bird who makes a noise exactly like the beating of a little hammer on a copper pot. And the reason he is always making it is because he is the town crier to every Indian garden, and he tells all the news to everyone who cares to listen. As Rikki-tikki went up the path, he heard his attention notes, like a tiny dinner gong, and then the steady ding-dong, ding-dong, tock, ding-dong, ding-dong, tock. Nag is dead, ding-dong, tock. Nagina is dead, ding-dong, tock. That set all the birds in the garden to singing, and the frogs to croaking, Nag and Nagina used to eat frogs as well as little birds, and when Rikki got to the house, Teddy and Teddy's mother, she looked very white still, for she had been fainting, and Teddy's father came out, almost cried over him. That night he ate all that was given to him, till he could eat no more. And when he went to bed on Teddy's shoulder, where Teddy's mother saw him when she came back to look for him late at night, "He saved our lives," said Teddy's wife. He saved our lives and Teddy's life, she said to her husband. "Just think, he saved all our lives." Rikki-tikki woke up with a jump, for the mongooses are light sleepers. "Oh, it's you," he said. "What are you bothering for? All the cobras are dead, and if it weren't, I'm here." Rikki-tikki had a right to be proud of himself, but he did not grow too proud, and he kept that garden as a mongoose should keep it, with tooth and jump and spring and bite, till never a cobra dared show its head inside the walls of the garden. Darzee's chant. Singer and tailor I am, double the joys I know, proud of my lilt to the sky, proud of this house that I sow, over and under, to weave my music, to weave the house that I sow. Sing to your fledglings again, mother, oh lift up your head, evil that plagued us is slain, death in the garden lies dead. Terror and hidden in the roses is as impotent and flung on the dunghill and dead. Who has delivered us? Who? Tell me his nest and his name. Rikki the valiant and true, Tikki the eyeballs of flame. Rikki-tikki-tikki, the ivory-fanged, the hunter with the eyeballs of flame. Give him the thanks of the birds, bowing with tail feathers spread. Praise him with nightingale words, now I will praise him instead. Here I will sing, and I will praise the bottle-tailed Rikki with eyeballs of red. Here, Rikki-tikki interrupted, and the rest of the song is lost. So that's the end of Rikki-tikki-tavi. Rikki-tikki-tavi, the mongoose, killed the cobras that threatened the lives of the people in the house, and the birds, and the frogs, and all the other people that lived in the garden, because the cobra was willing to kill all the animals and the people and everybody, but Rikki-tikki the mongoose saved everyone. And so that's the end of our story, and I'll read another story maybe tomorrow, and we'll start on a new story. I love you kids. I want you to know that we're trying very hard to just have some way to talk to each other and some communication. I really enjoy reading you stories, and maybe soon we'll be able to come and visit and read some stories one-on-one with you. I don't know when that'll be. I don't know when they're going to lift this stuff, and I don't know exactly what's going to happen. But I do love you very much. So I'll see you next time. Bye.